So let me start with the flow that starts with someone who would be an active just someone who's curious about working on any projects in the Web3 space. So this is essentially just an overview of where we are at with the project and how it currently works. So there's three flows: one from the perspective of someone who is a newbie, one who is already an expert who is vetted in the system, and one who is like kind of a project owner, project creator rank. So what you can see here is almost like an onboarding, like a landing page for which shows a couple of projects, but this is just almost like the very first introduction. Also keep in mind, this is obviously like a work in progress, and it's not like the whole world that we're promising here, but it's just showing the glimpse into the product as it will be focused on solving some of the biggest bottlenecks within HR and coordination of freelance workers or independent workers. So what you can see here is different projects from different organizations, and you can see when they start. You see the industry. There are some applications open. There's some people who work on them. There's a budget, and we can click on one of those and just explore what it's about. And this is just giving an overview of when it happens, where it is, who's the stakeholder, what's the description. You can also link it to an external document. And then comes kind of the part that's very specific to this particular software, which is showing the team and the possible collaboration within the team. So what you see here is actually just a kind of the project owner, but you can see also who's also scheduled on the project, and the possibility to apply as a collaborator or contributor to an individual lead role on that particular project. So you can see kind of estimated payments, how long and what kind of work needs to be done, some dates, and the roles. So you can also explore what the work and what the role consists of. Let's assume we're gonna invite ourselves into applying for a user researcher or like to contribute to user research. Click here and probably gonna have to sign up, and yay, that's awesome. So cool. Thanks, Vikram. So we're signing up. We're now signed up for an account, and now we can fill out the tasks and kind of select what we want to work on. So as a user researcher, these are all the things that need to be done, and that like basically consist the project of user research consists of. But because we're still like a beginner, we don't. Like we could actually select all of them, but let's assume we're just going to select a few. So we're only like confident with these three, and that's what we're going to apply for. We're also going to add in some information on why we should apply and assign the terms and conditions, submit the application, and then once that's done, we can basically like just wait for us to be confirmed. And we're applying actually not to the project owner and also not to the HR department, but we're applying directly to the lead user researcher. So they're the person who will review our application. And so you can see here, it's like basically it's in review. So we're possibly going to be here, but Georgia is currently reviewing whether we should work on them. And then after some time, Georgia actually confirms us and we can do these tasks. And she's also set a particular payment that we can get by working. Yeah, sorry.
If she denies, is there any way for the person to know why there was a denial and like any sort of like process to go through?
Yeah. So there's two things. If she denies you, so there's no real denial. There's only the selection, and during the selection process, she will basically say why she chose that one particular person, and that justification gets sent out to everybody, so everybody knows why they didn't get chosen and someone else instead. So work happens, and after the work, everything's finished. Everybody's happy. It was super fun. So now is the second part of the kind of workflow where we actually review the project and the work. So we have here basically we're asking like, how enjoyable was it? Because if we collect how enjoyable the project was from all directions, so by the way, everybody on the team gets to fill out this, but if we know how enjoyable and how fun the project was, we can actually create a lot of interesting data points and show how cool it basically was working on the project, but also maybe even over time you see how well organizations or how fun organizations are. So yeah, we're filling this out, and then we're providing Georgia with some feedback, how the collaboration went. Maybe we can also leave her a private note and tell her like how the kind of relationship was between lead role and contributor. And then we're requesting the payment, and that's going to be done at the moment externally in a different place. Just because that would make things a lot more complicated at this point. So we're just gonna request payment. We have requested it, and then we confirm, and then we can see a pickle. And this is kind of giving us the entire flow. I think from here, let me actually see if there's, yeah, cool. Okay, so then we get a notification that Georgia has actually also given us feedback now. And now we can also look at our profile, and this is currently what the profile looks like. I'm aware that it's actually quite a lot on like one page, and I think in the future we will like try to minimize that so that we can focus on the kind of most human elements. But this is like offering all the information that we basically need and can show in one place. So there are the projects that the person has worked on. So this is like, obviously it's the same, but it would be different projects in reality, of the same title here in the prototype. But that will show how the project actually went and how like what the feedback is. I don't think it's clickable here, but I can show you a screen. It also shows the skills that the person has, and the skills are essentially like a breakdown of the list that you've seen earlier, which we select these 3 elements from, and maybe I can just show you from here. So this is what it would look like. So if you click on skills in here, like user research, you would see that you have completed the interview guide, the later interview, and all of the others you haven't completed yet, because that's just like not part of what you've done so far, what you've been approved to do. And over time, the more you complete, the fuller the skill will be. And now let's look at what it would look like if you already have that user research skill. So over time, obviously it populates. So we're mentally jumping into Georgia's flow and what it looks like for Georgia, who already is a user researcher. And she actually just receives an email when a new project comes up. So she gets notified because she already has that skill. So she's already qualified to participate. The project owner reaches out to her. So this is the same screen. She just sees that. Oops, sorry. And she can actually apply to the lead role and kind of the same, more or less the same application process. She can just like review the work that she needs to do. And these tasks she needs to fully take responsibility of. It's then up to her to split that up with Vikrant. And then she applies, and then after some time, there will be, oh yeah, so she's here, an application is in review, she gets confirmed, and then she gets new applications. And this is where Vikrant shows up here, who we seen earlier when he applied. And you can see now, you can actually either confirm him or just review his profile first. So now we can look at what he's capable of. We know like, okay, he's interested in user research, all of these projects, he's worked with a couple of interesting people. We can probably even click here, nice. So we can click into a past project. We see what work he has completed in the past, the feedback that he received from other people. This is a little bit of Figma weirdness, but there's a bit underneath as well. But you can see kind of all the work that he's done and the feedback that we have collected earlier. And so that gives us enough confidence to work with him. We confirm, and then we can select the tasks that we want him to do. These are the ones that he chose, just a selection from those that he feels comfortable with. We confirm. Now we're splitting the money, and that's like basically there is a set rate for the user researcher, or like a set payment for the user researcher, which is 100%, obviously. But because Vikrant is also doing some work, and it's a little bit like delegating some tasks, we as Georgia can now decide how much we think that split is worth. And that's something that happens, basically the negotiation happens outside of this, because it's like a very kind of human interaction. You have to, obviously you have the confidence with the profile account, but you also might want to figure out a little bit more, maybe jump on a call with that person and see if that's going to be actually fun. And then we decide on a split. And in case that split happens, there's this mentoring bonus. And if there's no split at all and the person works on their own, or like Georgia works on her own, she does not get a mentoring bonus, obviously. But if she does decide to split the work, she receives a mentoring bonus that's specified by the project owner in order to actually kind of get compensated for teaching someone and like spending time with them and going through all of this like educative process. So we're continuing. Why did we choose Vikrant? That's the one that I was just mentioning earlier. So this gets basically sent out to everybody else who has been applying as well. We confirm, and then we can enjoy the work with Vikrant. Work gets done, and then we go through the same process of we then also review how the work has actually been split, and then also feedback the project owner and how that work went. Here we actually attest Vikrant's capabilities. So here, because we worked with Vikrant, we can say which of the things he's done exceptionally well, and give him these badges that will then show up later in his profile. And then we do the whole payment part as well. And we see the pickle again. So I think that's covering that flow. So here the project is basically finished. And I'll really quickly just show you a couple of screens from the very last process, which starts from here. And now let's say we're Georgia, or like we have been working a lot, or maybe we're just like a person who's in the coordination or like operations of an organization. And we actually now are allowed to create a new project. And we're just going to create the same thing. So we can say, we can give a title and a description, the link to the document, the external document, what org is it, what's the tag for the industry, maybe a stakeholder. And now we can fill in the roles. So the primary role, which is the one that we kind of have, there's like a set of presets. This is beautiful. Good job, Vikrant. Like we can select the ones that are in that organization that we have selected in the step before. And these are just like preset with and pre-populated with the tasks. So in this case, we have the creative director. And this is me because I'm setting up the project here. When should it start? When should it end? What's the payment in which currency? And we had like specific requests for different currencies because some people might want to pay in tokens, in their own native tokens. What's the mentoring bonus? And then we can also have the tasks here, which are shown that need to be done by me, and that I can then later also split with someone. And then we can also add a new role. So these are just like the ones that you have seen before in the project. So workshop facilitator, and then the product designer, and then these could be preset, as you've seen in the dropdown earlier. These could be preset and very specific to the organization already. So they just need to like click and this is it. But they can also create their own role if it's new, if it's not something that has been around, or they would just like to try and see how that works. They can just give it a name, either leave this field empty or find someone they already know. Say again, when should it start? When should it be completed? What's the payment? And then put together the tasks. So you'll basically create like the list of tasks that goes into doing this work. And so you have the title, you have an estimated duration. People feel really confident when they know how long a task is going to take, or at least approximately. That helps them figure out like how much time they want to spend and if the pay is worth it. And then the description, and that can be either like an external document, or it could also be like a sentence or two here, and then we can save it. And then obviously like that way, this is awesome. So yeah, populate all of these tasks that are required for the user researcher. And then we're just gonna save the task set. And now our team is, I think, set. And then we just have like application deadline and maybe like a terms and conditions document. We're submitting it and then it's live, and we can obviously delete it again. But this is basically like now set up. And I think from now the project starts, and we can then, oh yeah, I didn't see what happened there. Let's see. Oh yeah, cool, it's completed. Oh yeah, and this is just like receiving the feedback from the individuals. So how they actually split. It's just so we know how did the collaborations actually match up between the contributors and the user and the leads. Yeah, and here again, very similar, kind of a self-reflection. It's also, I'm just going to add that later, but we also kind of review how enjoyable the project was. And then we get to feedback everybody else from the team that we have a direct connection to. And then confirm. Here's the payment. As a project owner, we're now responsible of like doing the payment process. I think, yeah, this is more like handle payment rather than requesting it. But this is like it's irrelevant because again, this is also externally. Confirm, and we go back to the pickle. And that's basically it. So this covers all the flows and the basic outline. There are a few details that I probably haven't gone through. So things like showing the skills here or the coworkers and some of the parts in like what the skills look like. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So thank you so much for your attention.